Young Turks now has audio, the TYT Audio Network, podcasts of some of your favorite shows and new shows, including one with Nina Turner, former Ohio State Senator. She's going to do We the People with Nina Turner, talking about equality and justice and seeing that through the eyes of regular Americans who are affected by politics and policy. Everybody check it out at tyt.com/audio.
The Trump administration has its policy of separating children from their families at the border. And there are also children who come across the border unattended. Where do they go? They go to these youth facilities. And there was, the AP released a bombshell report on the living conditions at these facilities. So according to the AP, state regulators found approximately 150 health violations at more than a dozen shelters across Texas, housing children taken into custody while attempting to cross the border illegally. What kinds of violations? Well, violations, according to this report, last year at Southwest key program shelters include inadequate supervision and lack of timely medical care, according to the news service. Children were also given medications they were allergic to. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they asked about it, their remarks were, well, we can't possibly, it's too big a situation. We're swamped. It's impossible for us to control these situations. And so kids are going to get medications they're allergic to. I mean, that's just no kind of explanation or excuse. This is, I've said this a lot this week. I just feel as though this just isn't my country that would have such little regard for these innocents who've come here fleeing violence and horror. And to think of these kids put in these camps, it's just, again, it just seems to violate the essence of what we hold important in this country.
And it's cruel enough to have a policy of just turning these families away. Because remember, these aren't just people who are trying to cross the border illegally. These are people who take the legal route and go specifically to the US government and seek asylum. And instead of being granted asylum, or if you want to be cruel, just turn them away, instead of doing that, they separate the children from their families, take the children to far off shelters or facilities, often in different states, and then prosecute the very people who seek asylum. That's what's happening. And so the unaccompanied minors came here seeking asylum as well. And so I get it, that situation's tough because they don't have adults with them, what do we do? And so under the Obama administration, a lot of them either got coupled with adults who sometimes were undocumented themselves, or they were also sent to these facilities. But it was already a problem that's now being exacerbated by the Trump administration's policy of prosecuting and separating these children.
There's like 2,600 kids that are there. And the problem is, this is the strategy.
Yeah.
Maybe not to have human rights violations, essentially, by having unlivable situations where you're actually essentially poisoning kids. But the idea of making life for these families who come here seeking asylum terrible, that is the plan. That's literally the explicit plan of Jeff Sessions and Donald Trump, to dissuade people who are already fleeing tragedies, who are already fleeing a terrible situation. They just said they're not going to take asylum from people who are victims of domestic violence, rape, gangs. They won't take them.
Right.
And they want people to stop coming here. You're right. I mean, Brett's right. They want the word to get out. America's not treating people well. You're not going to be able to hang out and get breakfast with your family. That's the way they would describe it, because they feel that we've been too kind already. And it's a border crisis that transcends politics. I mean, as Anna alluded to, the Obama administration had these same issues, but boy, this administration has ratcheted it up. And you're right, Brett. They want this word to get through to the world. Don't come to America, because we will F with your life.
Yeah, well, this is Jeff Sessions' own words. To those who wish to challenge the Trump administration's commitment to public safety, national security, and the rule of law, as he says, I warn you, illegally entering this country will not be rewarded, but will instead be met with the full prosecutorial powers of the Department of Justice. We're gonna put your kids in facilities and poison them. It's rough.
Yeah, and you have to take a look at just the overall take that this administration has in response to other countries and how we are just creating enemies all over the place. We have created enemies out of allies. We have brutalized people who seek asylum in the United States. We have continued the same policies that we've criticized George W. Bush and Obama for, which is the drone strikes abroad. We have, amplified and expanded our involvement in the Middle East. Those stories don't get covered much because the news cycle is flooded with craziness all day, every day. And so we have no friends. We are making enemies all over the place, and we are brutalizing people to an extent that I've never seen before.
Yeah, and then also Trump has said that this is a democratic. And if you read into like his weird justification, how the Democrats are responsible. Yeah. This is his actual argument. Is the Democrats have left too many loopholes in the law, and as a result of that, the ICE agents have no choice but to separate the families.
That's not true at all.
Meanwhile, the Democrats just introduced a law into the books that will stop this. Unfortunately, there's a Republican majority.
There is a Republican majority, but the one thing that does give me a little hope is that the ACLU is fighting aggressively against this in the courts. And recently, a federal judge in San Diego ruled that case by the ACLU can move forward because there are potential constitutional violations in this policy. So I have a lot of faith in the ACLU. They've done really good work in the past, and I think that they might be able to achieve something on this.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.